Schaetzel, and I attained the rank of PFC, Private First Class. I had another rank, but apparently I was a bad boy and he took it away from me. So I ended up with a PFC rating. Well, I was a farm boy, and I was of the age of being drafted, and I pestered my father to allow me to go into service before I was drafted. And he said, I don't know why you want to do that. You're probably going to get killed quick enough. So he asked me to wait, but I didn't. I volunteered for induction in February of '42. I started out my military career with being in the military police. However, circumstances forced me to leave that unit because I had an injury on a motorcycle. It was duty related. And they felt that I was not fit for hazardous duty. Of course, my records showed that as a farm boy, I could drive a tractor and a bulldozer, so they determined that if I could do that, I could drive a tank, which is what I ended up joining, the tank unit, shortly before D-Day. Well, being in the military, serving during wartime, there are a lot of emotions, some high and some low. I have a few that were pretty tough to swallow, one being that when we landed on D-Day, we had a lot of casualties, and these casualties were bodies of our servicemen floating in the English Channel, and a body floated past me, and it had the map of Wisconsin stenciled on his field jacket, which they allowed us to do. Now, and he had the state of Wisconsin stenciled on his field jacket. Now, of course, I was from Wisconsin, and he also had the county of where he lived. He had a circle on it, and it was the same county that I lived in. So I turned this body over, and here was one of my friends who had been a hired man for one of our neighbors, and him and I would go out at night and chase girls and go bowling and to the free movies, and of course he went his way in the draft, and that's where I saw him. And then I volunteered to myself that I would personally contact his parents when I got back to civilian life, which I did. And it was probably the toughest job of my life, is to face these parents and assure them that he was doing his job when he got killed. He never knew what hit him. He had a very grievous wound, but he wasn't all shot up, and he was doing his job. And that was probably the most toughest period that I had to go through. I landed on D-Day in Normandy as a tank driver. My tank was destroyed in the landing, and I was able to get ashore. However, 3 of the boys in my tank crew didn't make it. And my tank was stalled in deep water, and I was blown out with the explosion of a shell, and I can't swim a stroke. But I became an Olympic swimmer that day, and I swam to shore. But I still can't swim. But I did that day. It was pretty urgent. after going through France and the other countries, Denmark, Belgium, France, Austria, I ended up in Plzeň, Czechoslovakia. And the war ended in Plzeň, Czechoslovakia, I believe, the first week in May, which is why I'm here now. However, when this happened 71 years ago, I never dreamt that I would be back here in 71 years later and talking about it. I've been blessed with good health, and I've met a lot of fine people. With this is my second trip to Plzeň. Last year was such a revelation, and I cannot say enough good about how the Czech people treated us Americans. They completely worshipped us, and they were very outspoken and they showed their emotions, and they showed how they felt about the American soldiers, and it was truly heartwarming and very humbling for me to see that. And that's why I came back again this year, because I felt that something as wonderful as this, I have to come back again. And I understand that there's already plans for next year. So we'll see what the good Lord has in mind for me. This trip to Plzeň last year was my first trip since 1945. Never dreaming that I'd be back here 70 years later and talking to all these beautiful people.